All right, welcome back. So I mentioned in the last video, I'm going to show you how to get a little bit more fancy with these other two types of plots, histograms and box plots. I'll show you how to do it because this is actually useful. We can use it in the scatter plot too. But let me go ahead and run. Here's the old histogram here. Let me change this. I think in the PowerPoints I have it to 8 bins. So let's just go ahead and do that. Whatever. No biggie. Now I mentioned that every good plot has, a good axis label, good axes labels, and then a title and maybe a subtitle or whatever. How do you add that? How do you add that? Well, just like like always, honestly, we can add things. We can add another layer to plots. And it turns out that if we just do plus and then labs for labels, we're going to get everything we need. So if I hit tab here on the first open parenthesis, I'm able to get title, subtitle, caption, tag, all this kind of stuff. I can also specify X and Y. So if I go X equals, I can override what's here by default. This is just grabbing the name of whatever you just put in there. And that's pretty much that. So that's the column name. Thankfully, it's like not too bad, but I do want to say that it's in years instead of like months or something like that. So if I do quotation marks and then age and then maybe parentheses YRS for years and run that, check it out. It's as easy as that, right? And I can also this has a capital A, but count here does not. This is done by default. So let's go ahead and change that too. It's not going to be X, but it's going to be Y since it's the Y label. Okay, and that's going to be quotation marks. And I can say, whatever. I can do capital C count. And there it is. It changes. I can also, if for whatever reason, if you wanted to, I could leave it blank and that would get rid of it. So whatever. It's totally up to you. Okay. And then how do I know what I'm looking at? Well, I could just say, I could give it a title. I could give this plot a title. And all that is title equals. See how readable that is? It's great. It really is great. Even now, if you're like, I don't know if I totally get this, that's okay. I promise that over time, this is going to become more natural to you. Promise. Anyway, title. What do I want to call this thing? I could call it, a histogram of ages in study. Whatever. If I run that, look at that. A histogram of ages in study. I could call it distribution of ages. Call it dist dot, whatever. I could change this to, pay me 20K, and it does it, right? It does exactly what I tell it to do. I can leave it blank too, and it'll look like it always did. Anyway, I'm just gonna call this histogram of ages for now. And look at that. I can also add a subtitle. Say, by old Keaty, old Carson Keeter, 2021. Cool. Pay me. So that's pretty much, how you can add some labels here. Let me get rid of the subtitle. I don't want the subtitle. I do want the title though. Now, what if I wanted to see the difference of distributions of ages between males and females, just like I did here with the scatter plot? Let me run that for you. There it is, blue for males and red for females. And within the aesthetic column, I just added this color equals sex to differentiate the grouping. Well, I can actually just take that. I'm going to copy and paste. I'm going to put it up here. And let's just see what that looks like. It might take a little bit more tweaking. No. Oh, sorry, it took me a second. Color is not what we want. It's actually, again, this is kind of optional. It's actually fill, because that's where the actual color is coming from. And I also need to get rid of this fill here because it's going to override. Since it does it in sort of in order, anything you label here and then label again. So in this case, it was fill. It'll override whatever you had right before it. So let's just run that. Oh yeah, look at that. And so we can kind of see some differences here. This is in a stacked way. We can get really fancy with, how we can separate these kind of things. But for right now, the scientists did not ask for that. Typically, just having all of the ages there is fine. So we'll just leave that out. But that's always an option, right? Ew. Fill. Cool. There you go. There you go. So we got a pretty decent figure. And let me actually, for the scatter plot here, let me do the same thing with the labels. So labs, okay, and then X equals, it's just gonna be quotation marks and then age in years. I think I've been thinking about it. I think the density, because we also want to rename it from dens, because dens doesn't make any sense to people who have not worked with the data. Makes sense to us because we know. But we'll just label it density, and it's probably something like kilograms per, I don't know, centimeter, cubic centimeter, like a volume. Maybe even grams. That might, yeah, definitely not 100 grams per cubic centimeter. Booyah! See, we have that right there, and this is as easy as that. And the same thing, title could be whatever you want, and there it is. And there it is. So you have a lot of freedom with how you can label these things. Definitely always put your units on there, even though I didn't know this one for a bit. Always put your units on there if you know them, and always have a pretty clear kind of title, just so we all know what we're looking at. And then the last thing here, up here, we can even just say with this box plot, this is kind of boring. Let's go ahead and rename the labels. So X again equals capital A years, and Y equals density. Get out of there. And sorry. And then that's in whatever. I'm making this up. Grams per cubic centimeter. Cool. Got that fixed. We could add color if we wanted to, and that would be up here. So if I add color, I think that's just going to do, well, let me see. So if I split it up, even though it's already split up by males and females down here, sometimes you might want to add color like we saw in some previous examples. If I do that, I think that's just going to do the lines. Yeah, and that's fine. That works out pretty decently. If we then say, well, actually, I want it filled in. I don't want the lines to be a different color. I want the actual box to be a different color. Instead of color, we just say it's fill. Okay. If I run that, booyah. And that looks pretty decent. And that's consistent with our other with our scatter plot as well, right? Man, we're getting fancy. Let me give the old thing here a title. Box plot for density between ages. No, between sex. Oh man, not age, sex. Sorry, that's my bad. So don't think I'm an idiot. Now, here is one thing. We have a lot of redundant kind of information here. We have sex as an axis label. We have it, male, female here. We also have the color of this denoting, that it's male and female. You can keep it. There are ways you can get rid of this. I would actually maybe let me get rid of the axis label for X, and I'm just going to leave it blank. And that, I think that actually is a little bit more elegant. I don't know. That's just me. I like having colorful figures, but that's just me being neurotic, I guess. So anyway, that's how you can get a little fancier with these plots. Again, there's a ton of information I just gave you. Please take some time just to kind of tool around with this, fiddle with it, see what you can get. And let me know, please let me know if you have any questions, because this is some pretty important information. And with that, that's pretty much it for making figures. There's a lab with a different type of figure, but it follows the same idea here. In fact, every ggplot follows the same idea, where it's the base layer and then the whatever characteristic type of plot you want to plot. But otherwise, get a little bit of practice. And of course, if you have any questions, please, please, please let me know. And I will see you. Oh, I'll see you in the next one. All right.